Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, where I'm excited to introduce the Protoss player in the red. One that I think is going to have a bit of a breakout year. It feels like he's figured something out, especially in this matchup, but it's the Surgeon. It's Nightmare. Up against one of the most inspiring / infuriating Terran players. Of course, Micro Jackson. It's ByuN. It was against ByuN that Nightmare proved he could not only hang with, but in fact beat ByuN in that late game Protoss versus Terran that, to be honest, a lot of Protoss are really struggling with right now against the very top tier of Terran versus Protoss contenders. But ByuN is still, and this is a science fact, ByuN. And no matter how much preparation and time you have, that doesn't necessarily prepare you for what he brings to the table. Or your probes, of which he's already lost one to the very first Reaper. Save a probe today. Like and subscribe. And Jimmy, we can't send each probe personal shields. They already have shield. It's not enough. It's not enough shield. 1,241 likes on this video, on this Reaper micro montage and cast. And I'll cast another series, and I'll probably do it anyways, but thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get a little bit better. If you missed it, the Reaper got in, it killed 2 probes, it scouted the Stargate, it was killed, and then Nightmare canceled the Stargate, and added, canceled the Stargate and added a Twilight Council. ByuN is building a Cyclone behind, but he got one Widow Mine, which will take an Adept out with it. But the second Adept is able to chase it down. The buddy system working out, at least for vengeance. It's going to be the Cyclone Micro. So, Nightmare is doing a slightly delayed Blink build, with the intent being to catch ByuN off guard as he tries to snipe off or circumvent Stargate units, which... it's quite a costly delay and is going to be significantly later than your average blink timing. But ByuN is going for this. Of course, he's got a medevac. He's got a Cyclone in there. He's going to micro it. Whatever he's going to slap into the medevac, he's going to micro with an uncomfortable level of precision. All right. Probably wondering where that Stargate unit is. I wonder if he's figured it out. Nothing back at home at all. He's just decided the best defense is indeed a good offense. And that lack of blink, that pylon is powering a significant percentage of everything here. I think ByuN now figuring it out. A Nightmare is actually supply blocked with 2 of his gateways unpowered, leaving him with exactly 0 gateways. Okay, 1 gateway at the Reaper wall powered. So this is usually why you don't just cancel your early tech. He dodges the Stalker hits. Okay, well, I believe Nightmare is getting served right now. 1, just in general, and 2, and notice that it's time to get out of the game. Nightmare tried to be clever, and ByuN just backhanded him for it. Wow. Wow. A concise start to the series as Nightmare barely able to get his first units out before ByuN rips him out of the game and takes a 1-game lead. Yes, Nightmare's late game might be meticulous and masterful, but ByuN will bully you all the way till then. I think that was a learning experience and a wake-up call, and hopefully Nightmare is not in store for himself for the rest of this series. But to be honest, that did not inspire confidence or fill me with determination. Game 2. Oceanborn. There's not much more to say about that. Nightmare really demonstrating why you can't dally on committing to your tech. Even if you think the element of surprise is good, like getting that blank instead of the Stargate units, these builds are figured out and the timings are incredibly thin, if they exist at all. And I didn't expect him to just die, but ByuN puts himself in the right spot at the right time, and if you make any mistakes, you lose. And even if you don't make any mistakes, sometimes you still lose because you just don't have enough units. Oh my god, the probe hid in the sea trees here. The little seaweed patches that block vision. I don't think the Reaper was close enough to spot it either way. The probe doing its best. Small fish you know, probes kind of look like fish. No follow-up to that. That's it. That's the whole end of that train of thought. They're just gonna derail it and move on. Reaper coming in. Will there be an adept? Yes, the adept is ready. He did hunt for the pro. Okay, he's not gonna let him get a pro. There is a Stargate. I don't think there's gonna be a cancel, even if it does get scouted. The adept not quite able to line up that third shot. Oh, come on. And there's another adept. He can survive one adept hit. Oh my god. Come on. Infuriating. Reapers up there is the most annoying unit to face. Up there with something like a probe, but the probe has different implications than the Reaper. The Reaper really, it feels like that unit should never take damage to, but always do. It's the stub toe of units. Where, oh my god, he got a kill with the Reaper. He got 2 kills. Oh my. This time around, there's a shield battery in the main. Going to be one at the natural. I think a bit traumatized, if that's a possibility, but oh my god. Gets a kill. And that toe is stubbed yet again. ByuN, though, taking his sweet time expanding, so it's not like it's going to be a particularly huge economic play. ByuN, again, is focused on that early potential aggression. Now, medevac, a couple mines out in front. He actually boosts them out. I wonder if he was thinking... I don't know what he was saying. Is that faster? I guess it's faster than walking them out. Is it necessary? Probably not. Nightmare, you know better than this. Will he pre-shade? Or will he walk into the mines? He saw it, right? He saw him on the ramp there. Scouts both ways. Only shading one back. Bit of an odd move. But he's keeping his bases covered, quite literally, with those phoenixes. Twilight Council is on the way before committing to a third Nexus. So Nightmare wants options here. He's not going for the quick robo. It's not going to be that bare bones kind of power unit composition, but instead, it looks to be a Star Charge build. There's a small chance of blank, but there you go. Charge is the choice. A brute force. You pick up or knock down the medevacs with the phoenixes, and then the charge launch try to sweep away the field. The best counter to this early on is Widowmons. He finds a Liberator, and he actually, I gotta give some credit to Nightmare, sweeping for medevacs with the phoenixes, but ByuN just goes for the in-your-face direct attack outside of that Liberator. You really don't want to give up this third Nexus. This is a very high economy composition. Nightmare, seconds. Is he gonna go? He doesn't bother. He cancels. He's actually a little supply blocked off that. Picks up a Widow Mine, gets the second at the last possible moment. Right before it's able to burrow. And he diffuses that particular problem, but there's more on the horizon. He's looking to chase. If he can actually pick up those Cyclones in time ByuN, not really reacting. The Adepts doesn't kill the medevac. He gets it now. Loses a lot of the Adepts, though. The Cyclone's still a big danger to these low amounts of units. Nightmare got the medevac. Are there any Widowmons back at home? No Widowmons on the field, so he's actually just going to spawn camp. It seems most of the rest of the units here. ByuN actually took a third command center early. Kind of rare for him. But it will cost him because he doesn't have that infrastructure online. He has to bring his army back, and that will give Nightmare time to retake his third. So, overall, looking good. It went from pretty mediocre to, I think, a slight advantage here for Nightmare because having that third base, total map control with the Phoenixes, he can see every step that ByuN is taking. If he tries to come outside of his base without anything but sneaky medevacs, Nightmare will know about it, and he might even know about those medevacs. Picking up more, trying to drag him out of position. The Zealots are waiting right outside right now. Nightmare now 51 probes to just 44 SCVs, though there are going to be 3 command centers. If ByuN doesn't wait until Stim, Combat Shield, and 1-1, he's gonna get crushed by these Zealots. He doesn't even know about them yet, so it will, well, partially just because of the element of surprise there. And the 3rd command center spotted. ByuN. This is a very awkward situation as a Terran. You're in the dark. Even if you throw a scan out, that's really not going to tell you too much of what's going on. You kind of just got to put yourself out there once these upgrades are finishing. Spots the medevacs. ByuN, right now, sees nothing. He knows there could be something waiting on his doorstep, but he has to put himself out there. He has to take a chance at it. As waiting too long means there's just... Ooh, Warp Prism in towards the main. I don't believe... Yeah, not seeing it until now. The charge lots, Adept Shade into the natural. More Zealots heading towards the 3rd. Zealots into the main. Reinforcements cut off by the Phoenixes. Nightmare, the Surgeon, dismantling the defenses. And ByuN is forced back, but the medevacs off track here. Yes, the brute force of the Zealots can be thrown back at the front, but already losing 7 SCVs, he keeps the Phoenixes alive. The Mule Hammer drops. And the income lead that Nightmare has carved down is going to be temporarily relieved by those mules once they start mining here momentarily. But the Phoenixes continue to essentially have the run of the place. There's nothing that can match them directly. The Marines, of course. But there's not enough of them, and Marines, much to their dismay, do not fly. Maybe next patch they'll be able to shoot out the windows of the medevacs, but not for now. And the real benefit of this for Nightmare is ByuN either has to give up his SCVs, or he has to keep a bunch of his units back at his base. Ooh, a little sloppy there, losing 1 Phoenix. The very first Phoenix loss so far, so a beautiful game. This time around, Nightmare allowed to live. Ooh, loses 1 more. Nightmare allowed to live for more than 5 minutes, and you can see how he set himself up here. He got any sort of initiative, and I think he's made all the right calls with it, or at least ones that I wouldn't disagree with. So, 4th Nexus is finishing. ByuN has plenty of workers here. The Zealots charging in. The Marauders on the front line absorbing a lot of damage. Actually manages to pick up the Widow Mines. The charge lots absorbing so many hits, and the Colossi are marching in, and he just punches right through Nightmare with a... I want to go back. So, with the Zealots coming in from that backside, he actually draws a lot of fire, picks up the Widow Mines with the Observer there, retargets the Colossi, and then it's just enough. He takes that fight. That's one of those fights that can easily go sideways if you're not controlling it in a way that... Like, it seems like an easy win for the Protoss, but Terran players have proved many times over, not so much. You do have to have a surprising level of control. Colossi, a bit of an unwieldy creature. It feels like they should just be damaging everything, but their damage is specifically against light units. Against Marauders that can easily be healed up, or supply depots that they easily get distracted by, not as good. Believe it or not, not as good. So Nightmare. All right, now I'm filled with determination. That was a solid game out of Nightmare. And we're all tied up 1-1. I debated what I wanted to talk about. Whether the last game or just in general, the TVP meta. I think Nightmare handled the hardest part of the game really well, which is getting your third while still going for tech. Getting your third is always the diciest timing. It's very hard to commit to it, then give it up. You could see he was kind of deciding whether he'd try to pick that army apart, and I think even if he defended the base, it would have cost him likely his Phoenixes, and those Phoenixes made the difference. The Phoenix control was on point, and it just kept ByuN pinned back until he could push him up against the wall and immolate him with the Colossi. I think this series will be defined by whether it's up to ByuN to do the damage, because Nightmare has such a grasp of the later game Protoss versus Terran. ByuN is all about aggression. He's always been like that. He can play the late game, but he does it like he just has a larger early game army. It's like, now I can drop 3 places at once with Marines. It's like, well, yes, technically correct, but I guess top tier Terrans make Marines a late game unit more often than not, but Colossi should counter them, especially before there's a Scandinavia Vikings on the field. So Nightmare playing it a lot safer in the early game here. Gets a shield battery, keeping everything tucked in. He even has a Reaper wall, which I go back and forth on depending on the map. Reaper wall can sometimes be as much of a liability as it is a benefit. In fact, I think more so. But out goes the very first medevac. And here we are, the Cyclone drop yet again. Skipping the Widow Mine in order to get everything out quicker. A Raven behind will be the choice. There are 4 Stalkers on the field. A Spylon at the edge. And with the shield battery, the Stalker should be able to hold here. Tucks it back in. Shield battery is a huge deal. Will tank so much damage. Will he have to use shield battery overcharge? He uses it after using all the energy. So maximum efficiency there. Blink is done in 2, 1. The blink timing gets it. Goes for the medevac. Gotta be a little careful. Gonna commit to killing the Cyclone. Might lose 1 Stalker here. Really wants to make sure he kills the medevac. Gets it. Okay. 4 probes. ByuN still dangerous. He kills 4 probes and 1 Stalker. Wait, no! The Stalker lived. 3 HP. So, well handled by Nightmare there. Slaps down the Cyclone. And there's still a probe watching at the front, whether ByuN moves out. And that kind of gave away, I think, to Nightmare that it was going to be some sort of drop. Because ByuN's gonna do something. He's not gonna sit in his base. But is it going to be a drop or some sort of direct attack like we've seen? And in that case, the probe didn't see anything, which was a tell in and of itself. Siege tank is done. Whoa, that's a lot of damage. Meanwhile, Raven. Nightmare does have that Spylon. Gonna see the Raven. Reaction time, immediate warping. He's still gonna lose a probe or 2. And the Raven's gonna get away for now. But Nightmare has set this up so well. ByuN again is pinned. Now, this time around, Nightmare is not going to charge. He doesn't have the Stargate. But instead, he's opted for Colossi immediately afterwards. And ByuN has not gone for Interference Matrix on the Raven. If he did, Colossi could be maybe a liability. But since he didn't, Colossi still dangerous against siege tanks. Or siege tanks, rather, dangerous against the Colossi. But, yeah, ByuN has a tendency to use the Raven as just an advanced harass unit. Which, killing 4 or 5 probes doesn't really feel like it's worth it. But ByuN has a lot of experience with fitting effectively square pegs in non-existent holes and still making it work. Just creating opportunities through sheer force of will and micro. I think Nightmare's very, like, he's crossing his T's and dotting his I's. That first game, I think, really you had two choices, which was step up or step out. And Nightmare is here. I never noticed the little reflections. Anyways. Also, the reflection setting has a tendency to make creep look dramatically different. Now, the Vikings... Ooh, this hurts. He's gonna get all four... So he does get all four Stalkers out, but... Unfortunately, the Warp Prism gets caught. Only minerals there. This time around, ByuN not taking much economic damage. He's still been able to build. Snipes off one Viking. Extended Thermal Lance will be done. He's already got a Templar Archives on the way. Nightmare poking and prodding in with these Stalkers. Three siege tanks. All right. How many Colossi? Wow, I think he's been chrono boosting the Robo religiously here. No, not the Zealots, but the robotics facility. Even a forward proxy gateway. To get 3 extended thermal lance Colossi at this time, he's even warping in. Scanning for observers. Nightmare, look at this setup here. Trying to catch an army as it moves out. So Nightmare doesn't have any upgrades. ByuN is working on +2/+1, so the very first forge begins. This is entirely reliant on unit composition. It's not necessarily a surprise, but he has to set this fight up. It looks like he wants to fight, as opposed to sitting back. Ideally, ByuN would move out and attack him. But will he go? Will Nightmare go? The Marauders kind of wandering out here. ByuN has supply depots set up just to kind of trip up any units and maybe distract the Colossi. This is such a tough call because you don't want ByuN to get the critical mass of units, including ghosts, which are in production now. And the upgrade advantage is going to be even more dramatic as time goes on. But at the same time, oh, he's trying to get ByuN to look away with that single adept. Isn't successful. Some of the charge lots struggling. They will get one of the siege tanks here. The siege tanks not target firing their Colossi. And again, ByuN is forced back. The Colossus micro burning through the core of it. And some of the Zealots make it into the third. A clean break, or about as clean as it's going to get. Target fires even more here. EMP a bit late. And ByuN is getting burnt up in game. Wow, Nightmare. No. Let's go back. So, let's go to the ByuN cam here. That adept shades in.
Mineral field depleted.
A single Marine, it sees nothing. He sees the adept. He looks away at the adept for just a moment. And then the army is already moving in. The army he didn't know was there. He tries to target fire with the siege tanks. He didn't even see the attack to the north. ByuN's like, oh my god, oh no! Okay, let's go back to Nightmare and how he handled that. So he's setting it up. He's manipulating the vision. So the observer sees the Marine that moved out. That's another key point. That Marine over there, he didn't send anything at it because he knew it would draw the attention. Oh, ByuN targeted the Guardian Shield Sentry, which was really smart as well. But Nightmare individually microing the Colossi. He has them on their own hotkey, by the way. Making sure. And then re-hotkeys his main army as the Colossi no longer become as critical. But yeah. Well done. A solid fight on both sides, but Nightmare dictating the pace of things. Doing a great job of manipulating ByuN's attention and then slicing through at the exact right spot. And again, ByuN, he had the economy. He knew an attack, or at least heavily suspected an attack was coming, but Nightmare just walks up and kills him, which is not something people do to ByuN, by the way. That's what he does to them. But here we are. 2-1 Nightmare. Seems my faith not misplaced. Jimmy, game 4. We'll see if ByuN can grind out an early lead and capitalize on it. So far, it's been all nightmare. That first game, I think, at this point, we can categorize under warm-up game. One of those that kind of shocks you into realizing you need to step it up. But yeah, like and subscribe, and these are the kind of games that I like the most. I felt the need to advertise before that. And also check out the Korean StarCraft 2 League. The link, Jimmy didn't screw it up, is in the description. It is your support that helps make more of these great matches happen. So, thank you for watching. But I truly like watching Nightmare play. It's a different thought process. It's not a parting. It's not a hero. It's not a showtime. But just... It's closest, I think, to Estrella, is the style he plays. This very... I keep using the word meticulous, but... methodical, almost glass cannon sort of Protoss, where he gets exactly what he needs and tries to minimize... Oh, things like this did not happen. Tries to minimize losses and maximize gains, more so than just going for the brute force approach, even if it is Mass Zealot. Dark Shrine! Alright! Definitely a minimal sort of unit composition indeed. DTs can definitely be that. This, oh my god, ByuN. That's pretty sus. He finds a probe. I think he was looking, well, either for a probe or something like an adept, still looking around. But that probe existing at all is a little suspicious. ByuN has decided enough of these silly tech units. What I'm going to do is make a bunch of Marines and maybe a couple Marauders, because it is Protoss, not Zerg. But if it was Zerg, I would just be making Marines. Oh. There's Blank and the Dark Shrine on the way. Here come the Marines. So this kind of comes down to whether ByuN has scans ready. Because Nightmare is likely going to try to warp in at least a couple DTs to send across the map and keep one at home. He's warping in one now. ByuN, he has the energy for either scans. I wonder if he's suspicious. He's building a turret in kind of a middle ground location, not committed to defending Stargate, but also definitely providing detection. So he's suspicious. He doesn't know for sure yet. I think very intentionally he hasn't dropped mules. He knows. Shield battery gets taken out. ByuN just walking up and gutting down the stalkers. The probes, why not? Yeah, they're shield batteries, but they can't shield the probes. 18, that's it. ByuN just walks up and again, Nightmare over here concocting like the most elaborate spell casting. He's like a multi-layered kind of and ByuN just comes up and punches him in the face again. Oh my god. The DT on the other side got killed at the front before it did anything. The turret, I think that was all ByuN needed, spotting that probe. He's played Nightmare not a small amount of times, though that was quite a call made by ByuN to be that prepared. Sniping off the probe was a little suspicious, but it is not out of character for ByuN. So that brings us to Game 5, rather abruptly here. It's a ByuN series, though, so a Game 5 within 30 minutes is definitely not unheard of. Okay, Nightmare. A Nightmare again tried to get cute and fancy. All right, he's been playing standard, and it's been going fine. He's been getting a little fancy, a little cute, and he's been getting punished for it. So I think the early build will quickly determine the outcome of this game, if that's any sort of trend. All he needs to do is survive. Just live. All right. It's like the most dramatic of game objectives. Survive. I guess life objectives as well, technically. That's a bit existential, though. ByuN conspicuously building a Marine. We'll see if Nightmare sticks around long enough to confirm it. Not getting a second guess. He's got his 1 gate expand. ByuN, 1 Rax expand. I'm taking so many notes mentally, and as is customary, I will forget approximately 90% of them, and of the other 10%, I'll misinterpret and probably not. I'd say it's like 50% forgotten, about 20% poorly interpreted and actually detrimental, and then 30% solid tips you can bring to your own games. Like the pylon placements and just the basic build. ByuN is going for 3 command centers into barracks because that is how ByuN do. He has decided we're going back to command centers and Marines. Whereas Nightmare is getting cute again. So... this is a 3-gate timing. Just flat 3 gates. No Twilight, no Robo, no nothing. So, I guess cute isn't the right word. It's plain. All right, homely, even. This is some classical Protoss. I don't mean classic, the player who would have already had a fleet beacon by now. No. Indeed, just a straight-up gateway timing meant to catch ByuN off guard. But ByuN's going to have a lot of Marines, and there's nothing he'd rather have more of. There's a bunker on the way, which means he does feel somewhat threatened. A bunker is a big commitment for ByuN. The Adepts are going to try to slow it down. Knows how critical it is, but would be even more suspicious to commit an Adept to try to delay the bunker at all. That 3 CC versus Nightmare, who's on 2 base. So I'm not sure how this stacks up, but there's a lot of Adepts on the field. If he's able to catch any of those Marines out, that could turn... oh, he spotted it. I think he spotted it. Yeah. Now here comes the Stalker warping and more Stalkers. Oh, he gets into the main! Oh, no! Now, that was not on purpose. It's a bit of a disaster here for ByuN. We'll have to see how bad it gets. The Marines could potentially clean it up. The Stalkers are still fighting on the low ground. Mistake on a Nightmare, not realizing the Stalkers are getting caught on the bunker. And he kills 2 of them with the bunker. The Adepts in the main, keeping Nightmare busy. And even though he kills some SCVs, the 3rd command center, he's lost 4 Adepts and 2 Stalkers here, so make that 5 Adepts and 2 Stalkers for 6 Marines and 6 SCVs. If he hadn't lost those Stalkers on the low ground, you know what? I think I would have liked this, but a bit of a sloppy move, and didn't... I think it was an accident. I don't think ByuN intentionally let those Adepts into the base to distract Nightmare from the micro he was doing, but at the same time, it was a successful move in that sense. As Nightmare clearly was looking the other way and ends up losing a lot more than he probably should have. We've got Gravitic Drive on the way. Nightmare, again, going to be microing his Colossi. It's going to be Colossus drop. I think he starts with the Stalkers, but there's no other reason. There's not even a starport done. Colossus drop follow-up against someone who's going mass barracks. It's a I'd call it medium risk, high reward. As without a starport, and Nightmare did scout the entire main. He saw the timing, He saw there was no starport in the main. I believe he saw the factory just building the reactor. Yeah. So he knows the chances of Vikings are exceedingly low. And medevacs are still a while out as well. So the Colossus drop. My God. Nightmare turning the largest Protoss unit, literally named for how large it is, into the most finesse-oriented. He already loses his shields and kills almost nothing, so not an ideal start to the Colossus drop here. ByuN has actually set up his base really well to deal with it. Ooh, already taking some damage. I don't think the SCVs are going to repair it for him either. He can technically dodge Marauder hits, and he's finally utilizing that. Just now taking a third Nexus. ByuN picks up with his medevacs, because of course he does, while literally under fire. I gotta say, the Colossus drop makes it... Oh, God. Oh, no. ByuN in a force field on the ramp! ByuN is halfway across the map, but by the time he comes back, and I don't think he's going to come back, there might be no home to come back to. A genius move again! Recall should be available. Microing the Colossi. Siege tank on the high ground. Another force field. The medevacs aren't there to save him because they're in Nightmare's main. He's dropping out now. He can murder the SCVs and potentially just recall out. Really needs to keep that Colossus. No, be careful. He may very well. He loses it. He's just going to give up the main base. 20 probes died. Oh, Nightmare's struggling to micro things back at home. But he's still doing damage. He hasn't recalled yet, which is kind of crazy. He's trying to... ByuN is outright trying to depower everything. Feel like Nightmare's overstaying his welcome on this side. He's trying to do some blink micro with the Prism, but there are Marauders, there's a siege tank, he's almost lost the Colossus, he can't unload it in time, the Viking almost kills it off, 38 SCVs down, but Nightmare only has 30 probes back at home. Extended thermal lance is only 2/3 of the way down. Another Colossus is about to complete. Shield battery overcharge. Not enough. Not enough. The Stalkers are still dying. He's bringing a Colossus back at the Prism. Nightmare may have been too smart for his own good. The supplies are dead even. Nightmare, he wanted it all. I think he could have just recalled back after dealing with the natural, but instead, he gave ByuN a lot more. Well, the War Prism chases down a medevac, knocks it into the water. And Nightmare, I don't know. Well, there's still a Colossus. He's going to repower Extended Thermal Lance. What an absolute crazy game to start. We're only 9 minutes in. Both players have essentially reset on 2 base. Nightmare with his natural and his third. And ByuN, well, he has 3 command centers. Oh, this medevac is so important, and this medevac is so dead! He flies it right over! He spots the proxy gate, and he spots the army, but again, ByuN flies out a medevac, and this time he gets punished for it. A Guardian shield. There's only 1 siege tank! But I take it back, there's 1 more on the high ground. He has the Prism. The Vikings gonna try to take it out. The Prism is able to reposition all of this. He brought the 3rd command center back. Nightmare still pressing through. The Marauders off to the side. The Vikings doing a lot of damage to the Colossi. Adepts into the main, distracting the siege tank. That War Prism is everything. The micro, it's been questionable so far, but he gets the Viking. The Adepts are taking out the siege tank. SCV repairing. The 1 HP. He dodges it with the Colossus. We're down to almost no units. He's dodging Marauder shots. And ByuN is out of units. Wait, how did he lose that one? Was that an SCV or something? He lost a Colossus. But ByuN is down to 39 supply. He has almost no army. A few Marauders in the main. The Adepts, he's going to drop some mules. He still has a Colossus. 30 kills here. And counting. Oh my God, Nightmare. There's nothing on the other side of the map. There's nothing to really keep him from continuing this aggression. He only has 34 probes in total. But ByuN is mining out of his main. And Nightmare might be able to keep him tucked in. Don't commit the Adepts, Nightmare. Oh my God. Oh, ByuN has landed his 3rd and is mining from it again. But the Colossus drop is unchallenged. The Colossus 32 kills. He's getting the last... I can't believe it's come down. I can believe it, but it's come down to this. Stims, ByuN is bleeding out right now. And Nightmare says, let me cauterize that for you. Oh my god, if he loses the Prism with a Colossus, this seesaws right back. That is still everything. The Marauders microing by. The Colossus in the main base. And he's losing a lot of gateway unit. Almost loses the Colossus. Dodging the Marauder hits. He gets him. The untouchable Colossus. Oh my god. 50 kills. He's had like 4 HP this entire time. 50 kill Colossus. The savior of the there's no anti-air. The gravitic drive, the real MVP here. But ByuN has 3 command centers as Terran, which means he actually still has an income lead. You're never out of it with 3 command centers. Especially against a Protoss who's been hamstrung so dramatically. Gonna kill some more SCVs. The siege tank! Oh. Ah. That Colossus. He's got another one, finally. Nightmare. I don't know. Is it worth it? He wants to go. There's no depot wall, but that might be a bait. He's gonna try to drag the siege tank shots in. He's threatening it. There's a Twilight on the way. The game won't end here. Nightmare is threatening, but I don't think he'll go. What are you doing? No, no. The amount of times a single bunker has drawn the attention of Nightmare's units is too damn high. Nope. There's enough Marauders in the main. The Adepts. It's just Marauders. What a game. A very on-brand Game 5. Nightmare with this almost artistic Protoss micro, and ByuN just going. He sends out another medevac drop. Nightmare doesn't react. 9 workers down. Adepts on the other side. Going to be taken out. ByuN might be able to pull through just through sheer force of will. As he's killing so many probes. He's going to even up the worker count. And he has mules. An engineering bay being built and where there were once mineral patches. Nightmare still has that 3rd Nexus, which ByuN has not spotted at any point. It's kind of implied, I feel, but... A Dark Shrine and Blink on the way, which is exactly what we saw last game, but 10 minutes earlier in the match. +1 is done for ByuN. I'm actually not sure how long that's been done for. It could have been like 5 minutes, or it could have just finished. I don't think it just finished. I think the Edgy Bay died a while ago, and he just rebuilt one. Yeah. The Adepts split between the bases, finding 5 kills. Gonna try to break through 3 siege tanks here. The Hero Colossus, 50 kills on it. Nightmare. Still in the danger zone here. ByuN still has enough army and enough economy. Partially through Nightmare's kind of, honestly, a bit overly dramatic micro. Is that actually out of range? Oh my god. Yep. It's out of detection range by that much. Nightmare's gonna want to break him again. ByuN still hasn't spotted the 3rd base. Which actually I think might be he has to assume it's there. I think he's working off the assumption that Nightmare has a 3rd. The Dark Templar! But there are scans. And ByuN spots the DT. He knows there are DTs in his base. There's a scan. He tries to catch both. He's not going to find it. Gets 1, 2 SCVs for 2 DTs. Was it worth it? Now the threat of DTs is there. The Hero Colossus still stands tall. Though 15 HP left over. I can't believe we're getting dragged kicking and screaming to a longer macro game. Templar Archives. Charge on the way. ByuN will finally deal with that proxy. The income still stays in Nightmare's favor. He's got 3 Colossus and a bunch of charge lots again. I would say Nightmare has a very slight lead. It, again, I think is going to come down to timing. Adepts fighting Marines out on the map. Both players have dragged themselves back into the game after massive economic hits. But ghosts are in production. That next phase. We haven't really seen any ghosts this entire series. ByuN got like 1 out on Site Delta, but otherwise. Oh my. The drama. A storm on the way as well. This one game may end up being longer than the rest of the series combined. In fact, I think we're approaching it now. Still, both armies so dangerous to each other. Barely any upgrades. +1 for Nightmare, going on +2. And 1-1 done for ByuN. Does he have an armory? He does not, and he hasn't started one. But any amount of ghost cut. But there's so many siege tanks as well. There's been an observer spotting everything. He sees the siege tanks out there. He knows not to go, but he's waiting for ByuN to make a mistake here. Nightmare has another base. The observer is spotted. The way Nightmare was moving gave away the fact the observer existed, by the way. Nightmare would not be moving like that if he didn't know exactly where ByuN's army was. Speed Prism. I don't know if it's the same one, but the Vikings can't chase him down because of that speed upgrade. Stargate. Stargate? Wow. Nightmare at 188. Well, we're still going. Both armies. I don't blame either player for wanting to sit back after that early game. It's still kind of a very brittle economy because neither of them have gotten all the little details that they would usually have at this stage. The upgrades are pretty light. The production is low, as they both kind of tenuously, stutteringly made their way to more bases after much strife and drama. And now it looks like Nightmare ready to fill in the rest of the tech. That's a Templar Prism to protect them from EMP, but still very vulnerable to Vikings. Storm drop on the SCVs! And not finding too much, and the Vikings knocked it out of the sky! 9 SCVs for 4 Templar and a Prism. I don't know, Kev. Scan on the army. ByuN has started 2-2. He's not maxed out. There's still very much an opportunity. The Templar are gliding in from the high ground here. He doesn't see that high ground. Really, ByuN? Really? The Templar coming in from the north. Nightmare going for the surround. Beautiful storm. Another one hitting Zealots as well. Feedback on the Ghosts. But that's way too much. Wow. Again. Nightmare survives. And ByuN just taps it out. I gotta go back a little further. ByuN, I think, playing much of that game in the dark. Not really. I think that may have been... He also saw this base for the first time. Alright, ByuN. The EMPs. He just gets blindsided here by the Templar. The Ghosts are stuck in front. He was chasing down. He underestimated Nightmare. And Nightmare took full advantage of it. Finishes off those Ghosts. Wow, what an abrupt but dramatic conclusion. Nightmare, a well-deserved victory. And that's why I say, like, I'm keeping an eye on him. That was just a new brand, or at least a different brand of Protoss. Still, I think, having some struggles with stability in the early game. But ByuN's only wins being 5-minute victories and everything else going towards Nightmare tells this story. And I hope it's an entertaining one that made your day a little bit better. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time. If you got the means and motivation, awesome to check out Patreon. Otherwise, I hear liking and subscribing. Still free for now. Thank you for watching. And check out recommended autoplay, helping out a lot. I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay tuned.